If we take a look at the starting 11 without Alvarez, how are they going to replace him if he were to go to Barcelona on September 2nd?
I think you're looking at pretty much it. Sorloth was linked to other teams in the beginning of the summer. He stays put, obviously, if Julián Alvarez moves anywhere. It doesn't look like it, though. The CEO of Atleti has come out and said, I don't want to sell this guy even for $200 million. The offer was there, apparently written in stone, from Barcelona during the World Cup when Argentina were having the run, 100 to 120 million euro bonuses or whatever. Julián Alvarez wanted to go. That was the main target for Barcelona to pretty much replace Ferran Torres. And even if it's messy, this is probably how it's going to look like. Sorloth, Lookman, that's a pretty good front line. And it feels like they would complement each other, Lahoud.
Yeah, I think you're spot on with that. Alex Baena could also go up front, maybe if Sorloth is coming off the bench, which he did quite a bit last season with Cholo. I just think that Atleti, I know you don't give him a chance for La Liga. What about Copa del Rey? I think they will avenge their loss in the final for Copa del Rey.
Yeah, well, do they win a trophy? It may not be La Liga, but...
Yeah, they can win.
600?
I like, Copa del Rey is their best chance, and they've gone far. They've gone to the semifinal in the Champions League. They've gone to the final of the Copa del Rey. They've knocked out Barcelona from the Copa as well. So they've done damage in these cups. That's where Simeone is taking them so close to the mountaintop so many times. But it's that elusive big trophy, right? They've come so close so many times in this spell. And I think that Simeone, he's pretty much overachieved. If you look at his entire Atleti career, just at getting them in Champions League finals, who would have expected that? He's done a great job.
Phil, when you look at the summer window and the activity, Atleti yet again being very busy, spending over 100 million euros to try and get this thing over the line. Last season, getting to a Copa, final, Copa del Rey final, losing to Real Sociedad, also falling short in the UEFA Champions League semifinal, I believe, to Arsenal. So how much pressure is there on Cholo Simeone this campaign, given how much money has been spent?
Yeah, it was the same as last season. I mean, last season they spent loads of money, made some really high-profile signings, and they finished 25 points behind Barcelona. You know, Atlético Madrid have to compete. They don't have the obligation to win La Liga every season like Real Madrid and Barcelona do. But they have to compete. And in the league, they did not compete last season, as we said, ending up 25 points behind. That's because they prioritized the cups, but then they didn't win either of those cups either. And that Copa del Rey final defeat to Real Sociedad was monumentally damaging to Atletico Madrid and Diego Simeone, because if you win a bit of silverware, then you've got some silverware to grab onto, but they didn't. There's pressure on him in so much as people want to win, but there's not pressure as in he's going to lose his job if they don't win, because he's got a job for as long as he wants the job. He is not going to be fired from Atletico Madrid. He will walk away when he feels like he can't get anything more out of the squad. But I heard him speak before kickoff today. He said, "No, okay, I'm here again. You know, I'm excited. New season. I'm ready to go." So he seems up for it. And I wasn't too high on Atletico Madrid, it has to be said. I've been thinking about it the last few days, and I've been thinking maybe these signings, they're not quite as headline-catching as some of the other signings they made in previous years. Maybe these are signings that could improve the squad in a more nuanced way. And if Kangin Lee can perform, I think he can be a big signing. That's a big if, by the way, because I actually tipped him to be my flop signing of the summer on Morning Footy when we were talking about this a few days ago. So I'm doing a 180 here. But I think that he's a player. If he improves his numbers, and his numbers are poor in La Liga. This was his 112th game in La Liga and his 10th goal. For someone that talented, those numbers need to improve. If they do improve, he could be a key player for Atleti in La Liga. But like I said, it's a big if, because what we've seen previously from him in La Liga doesn't necessarily lead me to believe it's going to happen.
Yeah, Phil, we have talked about in the past, Barcelona, they have holes. They don't have a number 9, right? Real Madrid's midfield is pretty weak at this point. They're probably going to strengthen it, but we don't know exactly what's going to happen with them. The biggest question for me with Atleti coming in, I mean, there is balance in this squad, but this Julián Alvarez situation, not even on the bench today, not available for Cholo. How long do we see this dragging out and potentially being a story off the field?
I think we're going to see him in the next game against Villarreal at home. Maybe not start, but I think he's going to be on the bench, and then all eyes and all ears will be on how the home fans receive him at the Metropolitano. Remember, this kind of situation has happened before. Antoine Griezmann left in very controversial circumstances, came back in very controversial circumstances. People were not happy at all, and he managed to win them around. Marcos Llorente signed from Real Madrid. People weren't necessarily very happy with that, but he managed to win them around. The Atletico Madrid fans can be won back over, but at the moment, this is a huge dark cloud hanging over Atletico Madrid's season. How can it not be? Their best player, their number one guy, the guy that they're going to build the team around, says he wants to leave. And he's not going to leave. They're not going to let him leave. So he has to change his mentality, knuckle down, win the fans back, and get his mindset on being a player that is going to be influential for Atletico Madrid, which, by the way, last season he wasn't. He scored 8 goals last season. He went 4 months without scoring. He wasn't their top guy last season, and yet the club stuck by him, which is why I think it hurt when he came out and made those comments about wanting to leave. But he's not going anywhere. The club have said, this is resolved. We're not selling you. Knuckle down, get back to work, and I think he will. But it's going to be a process. And while they get into that, get through that process, they need other people to chip in with big goals and big performances like Kangin and Alex Baena today.
We heard lots of booing from Atleti fans about him, and then after the game, we saw him walk off the pitch, and he didn't follow his teammates to go clap with the fans. And at first, we thought maybe that was his decision, but Cholo Simeone did come out and say that was a decision that the team decided to make beforehand for him to do that and just go straight to the locker room.
That's coach talk.
Can you?
he's trying to save his Argentine compatriot.
Well, who knows here? But that is the role of a coach to take care of his own player. Can you just talk to us about everything that has been going on with Julián Alvarez, especially you being over there in Spain, and what the talk has been?
I spoke to Atlético Madrid this morning. I were like, so you told him to leave? And they insist on the idea that yes, it wasn't him, it was the club that wanted to avoid more pressure, more noise, and wanted the team to be and the fans in the same place.
That worked well, was a plan.
According to plan, yeah, perfect.
Yeah. So in any case, it's a situation that I don't think has been very well handled by anybody really. Barcelona keeps saying, well, we've got 100 million. So, we can take him, and Atlético Madrid say it has to be 150 million. By the way, we're not going to sell it to you because of the way you behaved. And Julián, meanwhile, has said what he said. He wants another project. He wants to go somewhere else. In fact, he wants to go to Barcelona. So right now, the only option for him to leave is Arsenal. And Arsenal, I'm playing tough to get, if you like, tough to give the kind of money that Atlético Madrid wants. So right now, it looks like he's going to stay. So Simeone started working on that at the end of the game and trying to just calm things down. But to be honest, he's also letting the noise continue a little bit. He cannot go against it. The annoyance of the fans is so huge that not even Simeone can say, all right, enough. And then they will stop because they are upset with Julián Alvarez. So it looks like in these situations, and it happens so many times, the player will have 1 or 2 bad months if he stays, and then what is he going to do? Try to get the best for Atlético Madrid in a season in which I said it all seems to be about Real Madrid and Barcelona, but Atlético Madrid will have something to say. Again, better squad than last season, too many years of disappointment. So it's all down on Julián Alvarez for a team that hasn't got a regular goal scorer at the moment.
Yeah, Guillaume, we've seen this throughout my entire time as a professional footballer. Players wanting to leave and maybe not getting what they want, and clubs demanding more money. So in this case, what are the chances of a Julián Alvarez going to an Arsenal? What would that number be? Let's say Arsenal are playing, hard to get. Would they accept a bid of 120 million if this situation continues to get worse? And would Julián Alvarez say, you know what? I wanted Barcelona, but actually anywhere that we can compete is better than being here, and I would love to go to North London.
Said Agent Davis.
Said Agent Davis.
Yeah, the thing is he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to go to the Premier League. And he will be seen by himself as not his preferred choice or second choice or third choice almost. He doesn't want to go back to England. So having to leave is perhaps something that will be in his head. But I do expect the agent to actually calm things down in his head a little bit and say, look, if you don't want to be there, you're going to be unhappy. Here in a couple of months, you'll be better, and you're not going to be allowed to go to Barcelona. This is, by the way, the position of Atlético Madrid from day one, because Barcelona were cheeky and put a small offer and didn't come back. It was like 100 million, bye. It's either that or nothing. And Atlético Madrid said nothing. But meanwhile, Barcelona had been talking to the agent and trying for Julián to even show more his need to or his want to go to Barcelona, and Atlético Madrid are very upset about it. The whole thing seems to me, if you listen to Atlético Madrid, who are still in charge of the player, they're not going to let it go. That's what they're saying. Or Arsenal comes to 150 million. We don't want Gyökeres, which has been proposed to go the other way. It's either that or nothing. But even so, imagine the situation. Last week of the transfer market, Julián goes. Who's Atlético Madrid going to get? And if he doesn't have a striker, what are the targets this season? Feels like another wasted season. So everything is put in gear at the club for him to stay.
Well, it is. What's messier, this situation or Guillaume's apartment right now?
Atlético Madrid.
This situation. Yeah. Guillaume, we appreciate you joining us. Thank you. Get back to your big move.
Cheers. Thank you.
All right, so I think all four of us, whether it's been from the journalist perspective, from the player perspective, I myself have worked at teams and have seen situations like this. From your perspective, when a situation gets to this point, does it ever work out in the end where a player ends up staying at the club and things turn out better and they end up being loved by the fans again?
Yes, but that's the minority rather than the majority. Just one that comes to mind was Luis Suarez tried to leave Liverpool. When Arsenal did the infamous 40 million plus one penny bid, he was training by himself. He ends up reintegrating to the team, has a historic record-breaking season, and the fans forgot pretty quickly. And Jeff, you'll know this as well, at the end of the day, if Julián Alvarez is here on September 3rd and his next game for Atlético Madrid, he scores 2 goals, those boos will go away. But it is very messy right now. And I'm glad Guillaume brought up the point of, I don't think anybody's acting great in this situation. Most of which Barcelona. This is typical of Barcelona and Real Madrid. They know that players want to join them. They know they have the prestige, they have the fans, they have the money. So what they do is they get really public about a low ball offer, and then like Guillaume said, all right, take it or leave it. We did our best. And then letting this fallout play out. Atlético Madrid have been public in their frustrations about this as well. So that's one. The other side is the player. Signed a new contract, I believe it's through 2030. It's a long time. So I understand why Atlético Madrid will say either you pay our fee or that's it, you stay. You just signed a new contract. For the player, and Charlie, I want your perspective on this, it's whether he's comfortable leaving while making it messy. If he told Madrid, I want to go to Barcelona, and Madrid said no, you either accept that or the only way you're getting out is if you make it muddy. Is if you do the transfer window back injury that magically gets resolved by international duty early in September. So that is his only option if he wants to make it messy to get out. And it's just a situation that feels untenable. But again, on September 3rd, if he's here, are they not going to pick him? Is he not going to play? It's just so many different ways this can go over the next 8 days.
Well, in every situation when it comes to contract disputes and wanting a move away, for players, it's who has more leverage, the player versus the club. And in this case, Julián Alvarez does not have the leverage, and it's because of the contract length. Now, there are clubs who are looking at this situation and going, okay, 2030, we have all the leverage. We can wait this out. You can't, because you're going to waste the prime years of your career. So you can't. You're going to have to suck it up. The problem is, when you go so far to try and leave, it takes so much long to win the club's support back, especially from the supporters, the faith that they've put in you to kind of be our star. And next thing you know, you're taking it for granted and you're trying to leave. To win that back, that trust, it is very difficult. It's very hard. And then by that time, you might as well get the Atlético Madrid tattoo on you. To prove it. I mean, Antoine Griezmann kind of went through that same thing and having to come back and win the faith back of the supporters. But it is a difficult path. We look at some of the other guys, like I go back to Harry Kane potentially leaving for Manchester City in 2021. And there was like an extended period where he took a week or two extra on his summer vacation, but never came out and said, I want to leave. I don't want to be here.
Charlie, did he go to Manchester City?
No.
No. Would he have if he made it ugly? And I respect the hell out of Harry Kane for that. And generally, I think all of us would like to see it that way. But that's part of the leverage situation. If the club says no and the club has leverage over contract length, the way that you try to get it back or try to make it untenable for them is you do the interviews that Alvarez has done at the World Cup. You do things with the fans and then have Cholo Simeone say, no, we told him not to go to the fans. That's because if not, there is 0% chance of getting out.
Dimitri Payet is another one. West Ham, when he said, I am not playing for this club, no matter what.
The mistake he's made, I think, look, Barcelona not great, Atleti not great, Alvarez not great.
Yep.
The mistake he's made is by saying anything. All you do is you say, listen, I'm an Atleti player, and whilst I'm an Atleti player, I will give my best for them. Somebody asks him about a transfer, and we say, I know nothing about that. That's down to the club. I'm an Atleti player. Because it's like you're in for a job with somebody else, and you trash your work with your current employer, but actually the contract's not through yet. Yeah. His agent should have advised him in this current scenario.
Let me do the work. You do nothing.
I can try and force the move through, but you are the public face of this because this is not guaranteed. This can go wrong. You need to keep the Atleti fans on side because if it goes disastrously wrong, you are going to have a really, really difficult time. So his PR has been really
terrible.
poor.
Shreves, I agree. And the bottom line is, if that's the scenario, we're not talking about it. It's, oh, well, Atletico said no, and then that's it. So I've spoke to agents, and nothing that's at this level, right? It's a potential $150 million move or pound move to Barcelona, one of the biggest clubs in the world. But agents and players have conversations with each other. Okay, they said no. What's our next steps? Are you willing to sit out? Are you willing to make it ugly? And if an agent believes their player when they say, yeah, I want to get out, I've got the stomach for this, then it happens.
Depends what you call sit out. Depends what you call refusing to play.
Refusing to
and
train.
obviously he hasn't done. I mean, he played. He's been in the team. Yeah. But are you willing to go to the club and say mental health or something? You go to the guy, my back hurts, right?
Oh, I've seen that.
Yes.
I've seen it firsthand where players come in and say, you know what, I got a hamstring injury. Yeah. I got a strain. No, you don't. We did a scan. Yeah, I do.
I can feel it.
So,
I can feel it. The scan didn't reveal it.
You have players who do that, who refuse to train, and they're like, I think subconsciously too, they're saying, I don't want to get injured. And anyways, training for a club that I don't want to be at anymore. You also have false promises where a sporting director may say, hey, if this club comes, we'll allow you to leave. Mm-hmm. That club comes, and next thing you know, no, that doesn't exist. You're staying. And then the club goes, well, the player feels, I feel betrayed. Mm-hmm. I don't have trust in you, so I don't want to play here anymore. And you have that too. So there's a number of things that can happen, but at the end of the day, Shrevesy's spot on. You let your agent do all the talking and the bartering behind the scenes. You can even go into the coach's locker room and the sporting director and say, I want to leave. But as soon as that camera's in front of your face, I'm happy to be here. As long as I'm here at this club, I will give my best. That's it.
So, Charlie, on a lighter note, you talk about the players who say, no, my back hurts and I can't play. There's another scenario where I heard of a player in MLS who was trying to get out of his club, and he was a defender. So instead of sitting out, and he talked to some of the players before training and said, I'm sorry about this. I'm flying into every challenge because they're not letting me leave. I've tried to argue to sit out. And they were like, that's fine. You can stay in the bench all season. So he said, guys, I'm sorry if you don't come near me in a 50-50. And they laughed and were like, what are you talking about? The first challenge in practice, just goes flying into somebody. 2 days later, he got his transfer.
Talking to the Chelsea guys, they said Diego Costa would come into the practice when he wanted to move and just boot the ball out. He would just boot it.
Jesus.
Well, there was
as far as he could.
I remember a rumour, so I can't substantiate this. It was purely a rumour that when William Gallas wanted to transfer, he threatened to score an own goal.
That's where I thought you were going for a defender.
Just in case William and his lawyers are watching, this was purely a rumour which I cannot substantiate.
People get creative. When they want to leave, you can get creative.
Phil, any word on what's the latest going on with Barcelona and Julián Alvarez?
Good morning, guys. Well, the latest is that Julián Alvarez this morning hasn't trained with Atlético Madrid. The suggestion or the official noise is that he's unwell. I think he's got an acute case of I want to leave Atlético Madrid-itis, because it's pretty telling that he hasn't come out to train today. But the stances of the two respective sides haven't changed. Atlético Madrid do not want to sell to Barcelona, will not sell to Barcelona, and Barcelona, they don't have a plan B. It's Julián Alvarez or nothing. And we heard Joan Laporta saying words to that effect yesterday. We heard Hansi Flick in the pre-match press conference today saying something similar as well. You heard what the president said. They're going for Julián Alvarez. They're going to try and push and pressure Julián Alvarez for the deal to get done until the end of the transfer window. But they're not necessarily looking for a plan B. It's either him or it's nothing, because they're relatively happy with what they have. They're not going to spend money in the market. They don't see an option which is value for money and adds enough quality to go out and spend a lot. So it's either Julián or it's nothing for Barcelona. At the moment, it's looking like nothing, because Atlético Madrid remain extremely firm. They are not selling to Barcelona.
Phil, you've been to so many La Liga games, and watching it from the monitor, I don't remember such raucous boos throughout a course of a game like Atleti's first game at home. Every time Julián was shown on the screen, and then that situation at the end of the game where he's walking off on his own, apparently advised not to go to the most passionate supporters in the end, right? So what's the winning formula now for Atleti? Because it feels like this is fundamentally broken. How can Julián Alvarez stay there? How can he be serene? How can he play up to his level when there's such vehement anti-Julián chants every time he's even shown on a monitor? I mean, this is almost unprecedented, the vitriol that's coming his way.
It was when his name was announced. It was when he went to warm up. It was when he came on. It was any time he got anywhere near the ball, let alone touched it. There was absolute vitriolic response from a large chunk of the supporters. What I'm thinking about this is that maybe the club are banking on Julián's character and his personality. For example, if this was Diego Costa and he stays in this kind of situation, he could be a little bit problematic in the locker room. I think, for example, Julián, he's a bit more timid. He's not necessarily a confrontational guy. He's really hardworking. They're banking on him riding out this storm, knuckling down, working hard, which is what he's always done, and try and revert this situation with goals. It's the only thing that can be done, because at the moment it's bad. It's really bad. It's almost unprecedentedly bad. And there have been examples in the past, with Antoine Griezmann coming back. That was horrible. Signing Marcos Llorente from Real Madrid, that wasn't great. But this is a next level of deception, particularly coming off the back of last season, where the club stood by him, where the manager stood by him. He went 4 months without scoring, and yet there wasn't a word against him. So there's a level of fury, anger, and disappointment and betrayal, but that can be turned around. And he does have the attitude, and he does have the character and personality to do it. It might feel like a long, long way away at the moment, but this is a situation that can be turned around.
Phil, I was going to add, I think it's important to note that his Argentine compatriots, Diego Simeone and his son, have both come out and said, hey, he's a great guy, we're going to support him. And it feels like they're trying to set him up for the fact, and the fans, that if this doesn't materialize, which it's not going to happen with him going to Barcelona, for whatever reason, they will not sell. Obviously, they don't want to sell to their competitors because they want to overtake Barcelona. Do you feel that Julián Alvarez will take any move at this point? Not any move, but let's say it's Arsenal, and they come with that massive bid. They meet the wage demands. Is this something where you see Julián Alvarez saying, you know what, anywhere is better than here? Or do you think he stays and says, you know what, I'll just ride this out? Because it feels like, from Julián Alvarez's perspective, I am done with this project. I'm ready for something else. Do you think London would be enticing enough for him?
Let me just pick up on something that you mentioned there, why Atletico Madrid aren't going to sell to Barcelona. Yes, they are rivals. Yes, they are competitors in terms of winning the league, and they met in the Copa del Rey and in the Champions League as well. But it's something a little bit deeper from Atletico Madrid. This is more of a sort of a philosophical, ideological argument. We don't want to sell our best player to our rival because we want players to feel and future signings to feel that Atletico Madrid is a place that you come to challenge for and win trophies. It's not a stepping stone to try and get to a bigger club. It is the bigger club. And remember, this is a Champions League semi-finalist last season. They view themselves as a big enough club to be able to attract players and not just be a stepping stone onto bigger clubs. Will he go to Arsenal? I think if he really wanted to go to Arsenal, it would be closer to getting to Arsenal at this point than what we're hearing. A move back to England is not what he wanted. It's not why he instigated all this. And it's really down to him. It's obviously an entirely personal decision. Do you stay in Madrid, stay in Spain and try and work hard and turn this around? Or do you go back to England where you didn't really want to go? Although Arsenal is, I'm from North London. I don't support that team in North London, but even I can recognise that Arsenal is an attractive, very attractive project. But do Arsenal really need Julián Alvarez? Do they really, really need to spend 150 million euros on a player who doesn't really want to go there? I know they wanted to strengthen their side, but taking it from an Arsenal perspective, I wouldn't necessarily throw that much amount of money on a player who clearly doesn't want to go there, because if he did want to go there, he'd be like, okay, I've got another option here, a top option. Let's try and explore this. Let's make it happen now, which is not the noise that is coming out of Atletico Madrid.
Hey, Phil, so objectively, I think we've gone and talked about every single person's perspective, whether it's Julián's, whether it's Atleti, Barcelona, Arsenal. It seems like there's three options. Either he stays at Atleti, he goes to Arsenal, he goes to Barcelona, and for everything that we hear from Atleti saying we don't sell, we're not a stepping stone, money still talks, right? So in terms of those three options, what are the most likely? 1, 2, and 3?
Most likely is that he stays. Second is that he goes to Arsenal. Third is that he goes to Barcelona. I mean, having dug in their heels so deep to such a late point as well in the transfer window now, so publicly, so obviously, to back down would just be a horrible, horrible look for Atletico Madrid. PR-wise, it would be absolutely disastrous, and it would undo everything that they were trying to achieve by not selling him to Barcelona. So I think that's a massive outside shot. Arsenal is an option in theory, and it seems to be the only option for Julián Alvarez. But for me, and I've said this right along the way, I think the most likely option is that he stays and tries to turn things around.
And forgive me if I'm wrong. How does Barcelona have the money to spend to get a Julián Alvarez?
Yeah.
Because at every turn, it's we don't have the money. We have to do this. We have to pull another lever. What type of money would it take for Atletico Madrid to say, you know what? Fine, we will sell you Julián Alvarez. Is it 200 million? Is it 175? Like what is that special number that if by chance they said, you know what, this is too far gone, what would that look like, and could Barcelona actually afford it?
Oh, let us not forget that Atletico Madrid turned down a very public bid of 150 million euros for Julián Alvarez from Real Madrid. I'm not entirely sure that anybody really bought that was a offer that was made with particular a lot of desire, but it was Florentino Perez making good on an election promise. He bid 150 million euros for Julián Alvarez. It was rejected. So if they've, in theory, rejected 150 million euros, it's going to need more. But honestly, I'm telling you again, what is coming out from Atletico Madrid, they are not going to sell for any money. His buyout clause is 500 million euros. If you come with 500 million euros, there's nothing that they can do. If you come with any less than that, then there is something they can do, because he's got a contract for another 4 years. So even if they come with silly money,
he's staying.
I genuinely think he's staying. Yeah.
Charlie, whose financial situation confuses you more, Barcelona or Inter Miami? Because I have no idea how either one keeps signing big players.
Inter Miami, I have no doubt that they got everything in order. For me, it's Barcelona.
Unlimited DPs? No, nothing.
Well, Phil, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Pleasure, guys. Anytime.
Thanks for watching this video from Morning Footy. For all news and insights regarding leagues around the world like EFL, Serie, and all UEFA competitions, both men's and women's, don't forget to sign up for Paramount+.